Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. So, another British election is looming and we're all getting ready to vote. We are getting ready to vote, aren't we? Yes, we are. Everyone. Everyone. No excuses. But there are some people who would desperately like to vote, that the Conservatives are robbing them of that right. And in this video, I would like to discuss the problems that certain British citizens living abroad are having. But first, if you'd like to see more of my videos, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So there are a number of ways in which citizens are being denied access to the democratic process. And now I'm only going to cover those of normal voting age. And I'll start with the main one, which is the 15-year rule. Now, there's a few things to say about this. So what's the 15-year rule? Essentially, it holds that if you're a British citizen, but you're not living in the UK and you haven't done for 15 years, you aren't eligible to vote in British elections. That includes EU elections as well. You can't vote at all. Now, there are some who will say that, well, if these people aren't involved in the UK by paying taxes or spending their money on the economy or something like that, then there is an argument for them not being allowed to vote. Okay, I will actually accept there's an argument there. Not one I agree with, but it's there and a valid train of thought. However, those British citizens are directly affected by the result of this election. It could leave them without the right to their current employment, without the right to healthcare, without even the right to live in their own homes. Now, in a situation like that, let's imagine you are in a situation where, as the direct result of an election, you could lose your job, your home, access to healthcare, all of these things, and you're not even allowed a vote in that election. How is that democratic? Of course it is not. So yes, I think that all citizens of a country have the right to take part in the elections of their homeland whilst they retain citizenship. If a country is saying that you are no longer a citizen of this country, well, that's a different matter for whatever reason. But while they're saying, yes, you are a citizen of this country, you should have a right to vote. And the Conservatives agreed as well. They absolutely agreed with this, and they agreed ages ago. We've had a Conservative government for quite a while. So how come the rule is still there? Well, although they promised to abolish this ridiculous rule, they never, in fact, did. It was actually brought before Parliament earlier this year, but it was filibustered to death by a Conservative MP. Something that was only possible due to the fact it was a private member's bill. You can't generally filibuster major bills, certainly not ones proposed by the government. But if it's a private member's bill, the facility is still there to do so. And it should have been introduced by the government because they promised the electorate they would do so. But that is the sort of store you can set by their manifesto promises, isn't it? But then there's another argument. So let's say we accept the notion that not being active in the country economically or socially removes your right to vote in the elections. Let's just say. Is that what you think? Some of you may think that. Okay, that's fine. So if you need to be socially or economically active in the country, then that means that we should also give the vote to non-UK citizens living and working and paying taxes in the UK. Maybe we should also ban people who squirrel away their money offshore from being allowed to take part in the electoral process as well. That'd mean no newspapers would be allowed to say anything, wouldn't it? So the rule is hypocritical, and the only reason the Conservatives haven't abolished it, as they promised, is because it would give the vote to a group of people much less likely to vote Conservative, especially post-Brexit. So then we come to those who live abroad but can vote because they have lived in the UK in the last 15 years. They are completely eligible to vote according to the law. Brilliant. The normal procedure in this case is postal voting. Of course, obvious enough, it's the least hassle. It arrives on your doormat, much like it would in this country. You tick your box, put it in the letterbox, done. But there were dirty tricks played during the EU elections in May. Certain councils, and I will let you guess which party controlled those councils, delayed the sending off of the postal ballots to eligible British citizens living abroad. That meant that they were arriving just a few days before the election, the day before in some cases. This, of course, made it impossible to vote. It takes a clear week for a postal ballot to get back. It was also discovered that some councils had sent the ballots, maybe in theory, out on time, but via a very strange route around Europe. giving it very much the scenic tour. It was going through a number of countries before arriving at its destination, slowing down massively the time for delivery, taking like over 2 weeks. Now, I mean to say, if you're in the south of England as a council and you need to send something to France, who the hell sends it via the Netherlands and Belgium first? Now, both the EU Commission and our own Electoral Commission cried foul over this, but as with Conservative-based cheating in the last 2 general elections and Brexit referendum, nothing was ultimately done to correct the situation. So those same people who were shafted last time don't want to take any chances this time. So where possible, quite a lot of them are arranging for proxy votes with people back home. Of course, I've said this before about proxy votes, that means you need to trust the person at the other end. Some are even making the journey over to vote in person, like an extended weekend. But for many, it won't be possible to do either of those. So we'll just have to see if those same dastardly tricks are played again. But it shouldn't actually be necessary to do any of these things. All British citizens, certainly above a certain age, will say, should be allowed to take part in the elections. And the fact that they are not, being denied by the party that doesn't stand to gain most from them, it's pretty appalling, really. But anyway, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.